today, nobody really cares. It's just about the midterms. So what's going on here?
Well, if this isn't the ultimate buy the rumor, sell the news scenario, then I don't know what is. You know, all of the concern, the worry about the Iranian sanctions, oh my God, this is crazy. And oil has broken down, Oliver, you know, being well below, 5% below the bottom end of the trading range that we had seen for almost the entire year. This is a complete breakdown. Now, is it a buying opportunity? Yeah, maybe in the long run it could be, but, you know, I feel like I had the wool, almost pulled over my eyes on this one, given that there's now a 180-day reprieve on these sanctions. Eight countries, including China and India, the largest importers, are allowed to actually import more than they were, maybe originally thought they'd be able to. So, there is so much pressure on the oil space right now. I don't know what the next stop below is. I've looked at some charts. I've talked to some strategists who say 58, 59. I don't know at this point that anybody really knows.
Right. That would basically be, like 2 lows ago, right? I mean, you look at that chart and crude had basically this pattern for the better part of a year, slowly moving upwards, getting knocked back along the way, making higher lows, higher highs, and now we've just kind of ended that pattern for the chart watchers out there, $62.
Yes. It's crazy. And, it's not just that the Iranian sanctions now really have, let's call it a 6-month reprieve, but you're seeing shale production at its all-time high. You're seeing, EIA estimates, about demand, coming down, about production going up. You're seeing the U.S., which just earlier this year, it was almost unfathomable that we'd be producing 10 million barrels a day. Now we're approaching 12 million. So there is just so much headwind to the oil space right now. I don't know where the next stop is.
Yeah. Okay. So when we think about this, I mean, there's that other element that we discussed before, but I want to bring it up again because the top for oil, I mean, basically looks right next to that top for the S&P 500, where the Iranian situation is very much a supply situation, right? Because this is a question about, who gets to ship what, and does it mean a net negative for supply? And that's your point about selling the news, because the market had been interpreting that as a bullish thing with negative net supply.
Exactly.
But now, I don't know, Scott, it's like, is it a coincidence? And maybe it totally is, right? Because correlation does not necessarily imply, causation in this sense. But, I mean, a route that's happening right with the equity market, too.
Yeah, but this is, a bigger route in my estimation than what we saw with the equity market. Even with the vicious sell-off we saw in October, this to me, the fact that we broke down well below the range, like you had said, that we had been trading in for the better part of the year and did it with such force, man, oh man, this one is just a complete breakdown to me. Now, again, is this going to be a buying opportunity 6 months down the road, 9 months down the road? I would probably say so, but I couldn't tell you that we're not going sub 60 here anytime soon.
Okay, there it is. Rough move for both. Scott, before we let you go, let's talk some Bitcoin, all right? 64.15.
Let's do it.
Not only is it holding steady, it's got a little bit of elevation here. Anything behind it? Are people hiding out?
I don't know if it's that, Oliver, but it's funny that you say that, because volume has actually picked up a little bit in futures here. For the last, let's call it 6 to 8 weeks, we've seen terrible volume, terrible volatility. Now we're seeing volume pick up the contracts that have traded here. So maybe there is something to it here. Maybe people are trying to get ahead of an end of year little move, thinking about what happened in 2017. I don't know what it is, but, Bitcoin right now can't get out of its own way, but the fact that it's out of the headlines, as we've spoken before, is a good thing.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's a point well made. Remember, at the beginning of the year, we were talking about probably one of the best things for it, if it's going to be that store of value, is essentially to move sideways for a while. The last point. Is it a store of value for investors as a whole, or just the crypto community? I mean, I still see, even like that move we had the other day. I mean, look, we're talking like 1% moves now, but the pop that we had to 64, I mean, you still had Litecoin, you still had Ethereum, you still had everything popping with it.
No, I think it is a valid asset class for investors now. We're not going to see this 1% volatility, these 1% moves forever here. You know, much like we saw the equity market trade in, you know, such a muted range forever, and then, you know, we've got this volatility. We're going to see that again in Bitcoin. But it has proven that it is tradable at this point. So I really think you're going to see more retail come into the space.
All right. The chartists would say we got to get out of this descending triangle first, Scott, but that's not for me to be the expert on. Appreciate it. Excellent work, Scott.
Always.